AIM-listed ECR Minerals is exploring a series of gold assets in the Victoria Goldfields in Australia. I'm joined once again by Technical Director Adam Jones to bring us up to date on the latest drilling developments announced today at the HR3 prospect at Baillieston. This, of course, is situated to the east of the hugely successful Fosterville gold mine. Hello, Adam. How are you today?
Good, thanks. Hey, yeah, a bit cold here, returning back to Australia, but yeah, everything's going well. Hit the ground running and back at work and getting things happening again. So I'm glad to be doing it again.
Excellent. Well, the hot temperatures you enjoyed when you came over here are back with us as well. We've got this amazing heat wave here, so sorry to hear about your winter. But anyway, on with the discussion. So, of course, we all met up in the UK last month when the board came to London, and I know your chief executive Andrew Haythorpe and the rest of the board were really excited by the consistency of the gold grades coming out of the ground at the HR3 asset. So we've got more news today as these results trickle in. You've now identified a mineralized corridor with the assay results from hole BH3DD032. Can you talk us through the development today, please?
Yeah, so hole 32, or BH3DD032, you can see at the bottom drill hole tracer on that section, was drilled down below some previous holes we reported earlier this year, including hole 19 and hole 34, which had the visible gold in it, and hole 35 as well on our last announcement. So it's all in that vicinity. So everything now starting to come together. The geological interpretations are coming together. We can start to see a picture now of what the Maori anticline is and how the mineralization is hosted within the anticline. And just summarize it, there's two main mineralized zones. One of them's down the western side of the anticline hinge, and the other one's down the eastern side of the anticline hinge. Both contain gold. It's all narrow. So the eastern side of that hinge there, we've had some, that's where we had some visible gold in hole 34. And on the western side of the hinge there, that's where, like in hole 19, I think we had something like 0.8 or 0.9 meters at, 9 grams, and supported by, nearly 5 grams as well. So, it's looking like there's some continuity in the structures there. Hopefully the next holes adjacent to it will extend that corridor.
Okay. It's taken a while for these results to come through there, hasn't it? Which I know has certainly frustrated some investors, as they've been telling us on Twitter.
Yeah, so I think it's just the industry-wide in Australia, especially. It's sort of a domino effect, I think. With COVID here in Australia last year, the laboratory staff, for instance, weren't available, so there was just a big exploration and mining in Australia was quite, especially with the gold prices as they were. So there was a significant increase in companies, doing exploration. So then naturally there was just a backlog in the labs. And the other thing is that now the fly out jobs and the airlines are back, back just like they were. So the problem is that a lot of staff now have sort of gone to other labs or other jobs overseas, over interstate, in Australia. So it's sort of just sort of the opposite now, and there's staff shortage again. So so that's, and it's just industry wide. Other reputable labs like ALS now, I've heard up to 12-week turnarounds for some businesses. Yep. So when I actually looked at our turnaround for hole 32, that was actually that's been in the laboratory since the end of May into June. So that's how long we've been waiting for these results. Yeah. So and we've got a few more still in the bag, and in the lab, so to speak.
Sure.
We've got about we drilled up to hole 43. So so we still need, we still have results for, I think, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 still to come. And at least 3 of those holes are into this mineralized corridor along strike.
Excellent. So just looking at the bigger picture, when we last spoke about the best intercepts yet from hole BH3DD027 and BH3DD022, those of course were classed as the best intercepts. But given today's development at hole 32, what is the collective picture telling you now about Bayliston and HR3?
So it's telling us that the main mineralization is around this Mary anticline. So it's good to know that, and we sort of have worked out now all the geology. We can literally predict. We can predict when we drill. All right, when are we going to go through the hinge? So it really comes down to hopefully we get some widths in the vein or some high grades. But everything we've seen so far, it's very similar in the other holes where we've had nice laminated veins, a lot of sulfides. Really, it's just waiting on those assays and see what's happening. How hole 22 and hole 27 fit in the whole story is their holes were actually drilled in the upper part of the Mary anticline, closer to the surface, and that's where we first started, and that's where the historic workings are, or they're nearby anyway to those holes. And so that was why we first drilled there. And that's about 280 meters to the south of where hole BH3 DD032 is. So, and so we've got a couple more holes, or at least 2 or 3 holes in between those two areas. So so that's sort of going to fill in a bit more of a picture.
Yep. Yes, of course. So, of course, we covered the delays, and obviously, you're doing all you can to fast track the results from the labs, given that we're sort of COVID, and now there's a shortage of staff still because everything's come back to where it was beforehand. How many results are still outstanding? Question number one. And secondly, once you've got those results, and if they bear out what you're already seeing from the existing holes, what's next?
So really, further drilling at Bayliston will depend on what happens with the outstanding the results from, I think it's around 6 holes we're still waiting on. So so really the board will have a look at that, and and just see, well, where's the best bang for our buck with spending some money over the next few, because everybody knows that we've got other exciting projects happening too, like Queensland, and you got Creswick and Blue Moon as well. And it's really just about evaluating after these other 6 holes, or the results from these 6 holes, and then we'll just go from there, really.
Thanks, Adam. So another development, of course, since we last spoke, ECR has agreed the sale of Bassett Road, and in the next few weeks is set to bank 950,000 Aussie dollars, which will, of course, greatly assist in your exploration efforts. Now, former Chief Exec Craig Brown no doubt purchased the property with longer-term plans in mind. So why has it been sold and now considered non-core?
So it was really just a joint decision, mostly just because of based on the current financial situation with the market, and also inflation in Australia increasing, so property prices are they will be drastically dropping. A lot of the city areas, the properties have been dropping already. The country areas is starting to affect it, so we just thought, well, with the current situation of the market, it's not very good for raising money or anything like that, or you don't want to look after your shareholders, you don't want to dilute your shares by raising money. So it really just came down to a decision of trying to make a profit on the property, put that money back into continued exploration, just to secure us into especially with Queensland and these other projects going on, we want to make sure that we can just keep firing on all cylinders and just keep powering along. We want to, so there's, they're really the things, and, you look at it and it's been very good for us having that property because, we had our staff in there, we've used it for storage. And so we've saved some costs there, but also we've made a profit as well on the sale of the property. So it's had, it's got a little upside onto it. Having the staff somewhere else there in Bendigo or anything, it's not really going to affect, cost too much or anything like that. So these things are all been, calculated and thought about. So so that's about it. So really, that's the main reason behind it. We're here to explore. So
yes,
we want to make sure that we make sure that we can, put everything into that. So to be successful. So yeah.
Sure. Okay. So you touched briefly on Creswick, and of course, when we spoke last, Adam, we spoke about Creswick also. In today's update, you mentioned soil and rock chip sampling is underway at Creswick, close to last year's drill sites. What are the objectives here? And I'm going to bring up a LiDAR screenshot.
Yeah, so we've just started to get back in the ground in Creswick with soil sampling, so grassroots exploration essentially, and we're along strike on the same strike, and also parallel to other where we were drilling last year. And the whole outcome, or the whole reason for doing this is to define some drill targets. So what we want to do is to see if there's any patterns of gold mineralization in the soils along strike of, finding blind deposits, so to speak, or finding hidden sort of quartz veins that are just underneath the surface, but the old miners and the old prospectors never got. And a good example would be, and I've discussed this before, where you can see on the slide there where the green lines are going to the right of the page there underneath CDY. CDY is just the name of the soil grid. Well, those green lines there represent old alluvial gold workings. So that's stuff that's already eroded and shed out of the quartz veins. And you can clearly see there as you go down to the bottom of the page that there's alluvial gold in those gullies there, and there's no source of the gold. So so the idea is to just test it out really, and just see, well, can we get some gold in those soils, and hopefully it's successful, and then we'll plan to put some drill holes into it and actually see what it is. So there's a huge big area in Creswick to do this. We've got the two approved tenements there. We've still got the one other tenement in the pipeline to be approved to work on, but there's plenty of work there. We've got 14 or something kilometers in strike to do all this work on. So we'll be quite busy there, and we'll just systematically work our way through it. I think the best thing to do is start off near where we were drilling before in the Brewery Lane property, and just work, just try and find out what correlates with the gold in the soils, and we'll just plan to do some drill holes into this thing if it works out and successful.
Super. Okay, so lots to look forward to, and it feels like this month is going to be the start of a sustained period of news flow. Now, investors are aware that you and I will be speaking very shortly on plans for the eagerly awaited Blue Moon drilling campaign. Can you just give us a very brief insight into what's going to be going on there?
Yeah, so I've put some plans into permits to drill just to the west of where we drilled in 2019 with the RC drilling there. It's looking like the mineralization is trending to the west. So really, we just want to extend it, just see if it does exist to the west, and hopefully it's successful, and hopefully we can get a few tons there proved up.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Well, Looking forward to that. And of course, you're going to head north to Queensland in the next week or so to assess things on the ground there. Can you give us a few clues as to your actions there?
Yeah, so I'm planning on flying up. I'll be actually going up next week and meet up with the field team and another geologist who will help out, and just finalising logistics, really. About access tracks, where we're going to camp. It's going to be a remote camping for a bit out there, so I'm just going up there to help set the guys up there and make sure it's safe and all that as well, because it's very, we're something like 200 or whatever it is kilometers west of Townsville, and there's no phone reception out there, so it's all satellite phones. And so so it's meet the property owners in the area there too, and try and get established in the area, and and get on the ground.
Okay, well, we've run out of time. Adam Jones, Technical Director of Exploration at ECR Minerals, many thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.